The president of Jalgaon Tax Practitioners Association, Shri Magan Patil, president of our parent association of Maharashtra, that is Goods and Service Tax Practitioners Association of Maharashtra, Mr. Dinesh Tambre, Mr. Vinod Maske, who is the behind his organization of this seminar, Shri Sisodiaji, and my friends all over. First of all, not only because we are facing the COVID, but as the subject is titled, we are also facing many unjustified provisions, not only in ITC. So many provisions we have, especially in last 3 months period, by way of Zoom meeting, we have studied. But as rightly stated by the President, Mr. Tamde, that only by saying the provision is unjustified, nothing can happen. So I will take the cognizance thereof by the time we proceed further. But at the beginning, I wish to point out is that the law, which is the bare one, which is written one, we study normally as usual. But as a professional, we should also develop the habit to read between the lines and find out, is there anything unjustified? Always one has to go behind the object of keeping a particular provision. Then and then only, after great efforts, we will be in a position to find out the unjustified part of any provision, and then we will struggle hard how to overcome. With this brief note at the beginning, we will proceed further. When we are going to GST, it is always better to see the comparative provisions or the old provisions under the sales tax law, that is VAT law. Under the VAT law, then we used to call it as set off, now we call it as ITC. The major difference is under the VAT Act, if you see the 1.1, that second bullet, last few words, the commissioner shall grant him a set off. You claim it or not by filing the returns, or assuming no returns were filed by the SSC. Still, at the time of assessment, commissioner was bound to grant the set off, of course, after the production of books of accounts and other necessary documents. But it was the commissioner's duty by law to grant him a set off. As against this, we are now in GST era. In this, section 16(1) is everything about ITC, because it starts with every registered person shall, subject to such conditions and restrictions as may be prescribed. Now, these words are very important as well as dangerous, because whenever we come across any difficulty, the authorities and the courts point out to us that already we have provided that this grant of ITC is subject to conditions and restrictions as may be prescribed. Prescribed means obviously by rules or by any other section. And therefore, when we stuck up to this, we have at that point to find out only because there is a power. You cannot put the onerous conditions, and sometimes which is not possible for a registered person to perform. By keeping this aspect, we'll proceed further. This ITC will be granted in the manner specified in section 49. That ITC be entitled to take credit of on any supply to him, which are used or intended to be used in the course or furtherance of his business. As far as used is concerned, I can understand. But while granting this ITC, the care is not taken about the inward supply, which is intended to be used, means in future also. When we'll proceed to 3B, I can explain this very well. And the said amount shall be credited to the electronic credit ledger of such person. We have to see now how it's get credited to the ITC ledger. But before that, many times the question comes before us while availing ITC, that whether input is necessarily to be a part of output. If the answer to this is yes, then one can claim ITC only on raw material and packing material, which goes along with the output. And that is why I have put these two definitions in front of you at the initial stage itself, that as far as goods are concerned, section 259 defines input means any goods other than capital goods used or intended to be used by a supplier in the course or furtherance of business. Now here important part is used or intended to be used. That is why there are many goods which are not actual input, which are not going along with the output, but which are used. That's why used is important. Used by the supplier in the course or furtherance of business, means to make the output therefrom. And as per section 260, input service means any service used or intended to be used by a supplier in the course or furtherance of business. These two definitions makes it clear that input may not be a part of output supply. Only condition is that it is used or intended to be used for business. And therefore, ITC on stationery, office equipment, etc., which ultimately, though it is used, but not is the part of output, it is only used, still we are entitled to claim ITC. Nowhere it is taken out by way of section 17(5), that on which you cannot claim. So we can claim because they are used in the course or furtherance of business. Now how we avail the ITC? You are aware there are two methods by which one can avail the ITC. First one is by filing form Tran 1. If we look to form Tran 1, everyone knows we are struggling with that. Timely keep aside the technical glitch for which anyone was not in a position to file Tran 1. But even in case of Tran 1, what we find is that if there is any mistake made while filing Tran 1, in the sense Tran 1 is filed, but some of the ITC under the old law, we have either forgot to claim it, or we claimed under the wrong table or the space provided for in that form Tran 1. Still, while verification, the authority's attempt is that you have shown that particular credit in Tran 1 under a different head or different place, and that's why we will not grant. That should not be permitted. At that time, once the Tran 1 is filed, there must be a possibility when they send us the notice, at that time we have to say, once the Tran 1 is filed, you check up my books of accounts, you find out whether that claim which I am was supposed to claim once that form is filed, either you grant me an opportunity to rectify that form Tran 1, or once you conclude it, you post it at appropriate place, and that Tran 1 credit must be granted. Because as you know, for Tran 1 as well as 3B, there is no provision to rectify, and that's why we must insist for it. Do not give up that claim. About technical glitch, there are the judgments, recent 2 judgments of contradictory judgments, I can say, of Delhi High Court and Mumbai High Court. Mumbai High Court has strictly on the issue that unless there is a technical glitch as defined by way of that circular, you cannot claim that there was a glitch and I could not file. As against that, other high courts all over India have taken a liberal and rational view that even there are comments, there are observations, even of Bombay High Court in Abicor's case initially, that when the system is such that one cannot establish that yes, I made an attempt, and therefore to sit on these particular words, technical glitch must be proved, that should not have happened. But the other courts considered this rationally, but unfortunately Bombay High Court in the recent case is not ready to come out of that, and until the technical glitch is established, no one can claim the credit in Tran 1. That is the stand of the Bombay High Court. Now my advice. As far as Delhi High Court, the recent judgment, they have said that the time limit is not specifically provided under the Act, so that should be taken as a guiding factor, not a mandatory factor, and therefore up to 30th June, that is 3 years from the introduction of the invoking of the GST Act. So that is 30th June. Up to that, you can file your Tran 1 if not filed earlier. So my advice is, though I am aware fully, and every one of you of course, that Tran 1, unless the portal is open, one cannot upload it now. In that case, we should, everyone, because after that 3 years limitation under the Limitation Act, which Delhi High Court has considered is over, we cannot do anything. So everyone must make an attempt to file Tran 1 either by emailing to the proper officer and to the zonal commissioners, and simultaneously also file by registered post addressed to the proper officer as well as to the zonal commissioners. Do your job, and rest of the things we will leave it to all those litigants who are going ahead. So we can travel in that bus. But if you don't make an attempt to file that Tran 1 in by these 2 methods, you will never get the credited to your ITC ledger. Now coming to Form 3B. Section 41, claim of ITC and provisional acceptance thereof. Here, very limited portion I have reproduced over here, that section 41(1). Every registered person shall be entitled to take credit of eligible ITC as self-assessed in his return, and such amount shall be credited on a provisional basis to his electronic credit ledger. Now here, the words eligible ITC are dangerous in the sense that today something would be according to you when we are making self-assessment. Today they may not be eligible, but tomorrow it can be. But today, if you do not claim, then it is gone permanently, because tomorrow they are going to say whatever was shown in 3B as eligible ITC that we have credited to ITC ledger. Exactly on the next slide, I will explain this point further. So be cautious while claiming or giving up not claiming. At that time, you should be very cautious. Said credit shall be utilized only for payment of self-assessed output tax as per returns. As you are aware, as per section 41, whatever the ITC is credited to ITC ledger can be used only for making the payment of output tax. As I said earlier, issues in about 3B. As you are aware that ITC which is ineligible today, it becomes eligible after the time prescribed under section 16(4) to claim that gets over. It will lapse. The best example to emphasize on this point is, suppose if you purchase, if your today's business is of supplying exempted goods. The best example which I always choose is you are a supplier of milk, but you have in mind that at any point of time you will start selling, say, Shrikhand and Basundi, which is taxable. And so you have purchased even a packing material for the purpose of packing those taxable items as well. But today 3B is so designed that which will be used in future, that is not allowed to be claimed. Means you can claim, but the moment you claim which is not eligible today, because the items are going to remain in stock, then whatever you claim today, that will be credited, and that will be against offsetted against the output tax liability. But as I said, what will happen, that if you start the business of making taxable supply, and for that the material which is purchased today have been used thereafter. Thereafter means the time for filing return for the month of September next subsequent year. That timings 20th October or any other date which is extended. Then we are coming under the clutch of 16(4). In short, as was requested to me earlier, थोडंसं मराठीमधून सुद्धा ही प्रोव्हिजन कशी आहे पहा, की जो स्टॉक मध्ये जो आयटम आहे तो जर आज टॅक्सेबल सप्लायसाठी यूज होत नसेल तर ऑब्व्हियसली आज आपण ITC अवेलेबमेंट म्हणून दाखवायची नाही असं एका वेळेला कायदा सांगतो, आणि दुसऱ्या वेळेला तो तुम्ही आज दाखवला नाही आणि पुढे जेव्हा टॅक्सेबल सप्लाय सुरू कराल त्यावेळेला असं पॅकिंग मटेरियल ऑर एनी अदर मटेरियल त्याच्यावरचा ITC तुम्ही त्याच्यानंतर क्लेम केल्यामुळे तुम्हाला तो मिळणार नाही. आणि म्हणून लक्षात ठेवण्याचा पार्ट इकडे असा आहे की जर तुम्ही तो ITC आज क्लेम करायला पाहिजे असं माझं म्हणणं आहे, इन दॅट युअर technical difficulty is the moment it is claimed, though not eligible today, then automatically the system, the portal, takes it against your output tax liability. Therefore, the best option is, to that extent you pay extra cash. But here again, unless that ITC, which is so called excess availed, is over, cash balance जो आहे that you cannot pull or offset against this. याच्यासाठी there must be the change in 3B. म्हणजे काय व्हायला पाहिजे, आज एव्हरी ITC जो अदरवाइज यू कॅनॉट क्लेम, तुम्हाला अलाउ होणार नाही, असंही होऊ शकेल की तो 17(5) मध्ये येतो, पण तरी सुद्धा once there is input tax, you claim it. तो क्लेम केल्यानंतर तो ऑफसेट कसा होईल हा तुमचा मुद्दा नाहीये, पण आज तुमचा क्लेम करायचा राहिला तर मी जी कारण आधी तुम्हाला सांगितली त्याच्याप्रमाणे तो तुम्हाला पूर्णपणे विसरावा लागेल. And to avoid this, On one side, we have to make the representation for amendment of that 3B, and otherwise you claim it. Otherwise you will forget it, means you cannot claim it tomorrow. Another one is now about Rule 36(4). Rule 36(4) मध्ये काय म्हटलेलं आहे की जो ITC 2A मध्ये रिफ्लेक्ट झालेला आहे त्याच्यापेक्षा तुम्ही 10% जास्त घेऊ शकता. हा 36(4). मधल्या एका काळामध्ये नोटिफिकेशन आलं आणि सांगितलं गेलं की तुम्ही तो 20% जास्ती क्लेम करू शकता दॅन ओव्हर अँड अबोव्ह मॅच. आणि जी करोना संबंधी जी नोटिफिकेशन आली त्याच्यामध्ये त्यांनी सांगितलं की यू क्लेम इट ॲज पर युअर बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट्स. थोडक्यात करोना भारतातून जोपर्यंत जात नाही तोपर्यंत ITC जो कायद्याने एलिजिबल आहे तो 2A मध्ये रिफ्लेक्ट होत नसला तरी सुद्धा तुम्ही क्लेम करा. आता प्रश्न असा आहे की मी तो आज क्लेम केला नाही तर मी जे याच्या आधी कारण जे सांगितलं तो क्लेम करताना जर काही कारणाने तो 2A मध्ये रिफ्लेक्ट झाला नाही म्हणून मी तो आज क्लेम केला नाही तर मला 16(4) साठी जे लिमिटेशन आहे त्याच्यानंतर क्लेम करायला लागल्यानंतर तो मला क्लेम कसा मिळणार. हा एक पार्ट जो याच्या आधी सांगितला तो लक्षात ठेवून सध्या आपण पुढे जाऊया. ITC is subject to following conditions. Possession of tax invoice, debit note, nothing wrong. Goods or services are actually received, that also we know. Now the onerous provision. C. Subject to the provisions of section 41 or section 43A, the tax charge in respect of such supply has been actually paid to the government either in cash or through utilization of ITC admissible. In short, MVAT Act of 48(5) section that is exactly reproduced over here. Now, on this issue, more is required to be spoken or discussed on what is the solution to this. In short, at present, what we have to take into account that the tax is not actually paid by the other party, means supplier. How to ascertain? Whether cross-check mechanism which is provided under the Act is fully being put in force. Now see this, section 43A. हा सेक्शन 43A जो आहे त्याच्यामधला जो सबसेक्शन 4 जो मी आपल्या समोर ठेवलाय की प्रोसिजर फॉर फर्निशिंग रिटर्न अँड अवेलिंग इनपुट टॅक्स क्रेडिट, हा सबसेक्शन 4 जो आहे दॅट इज द रूट फॉर रूल 36(4). याच्यामध्ये म्हटलंय पहा, जो मॅच आहे त्याच्यापेक्षा not exceeding 20% of the ITC on the basis of details furnished by the suppliers under said subsection. हा सेक्शन सध्या अबेयन्स मध्ये ठेवलेला आहे. त्याचं रिझन सिंपल आहे की सध्या GSTR 2 फाईल करायची प्रोव्हिजनच नाहीये आणि क्रॉस चेक मेकॅनिझम कुठल्याही प्रकारे अंमलात आणला जात नाहीये. आणि म्हणून जसं कोविडमध्ये परमिशन दिली गेली की सध्या बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट्स प्रमाणे ITC क्लेम करा, त्यामुळे गव्हर्नमेंटच सध्या फेल्युअर असल्यामुळे फॉर क्रॉस चेक मेकॅनिझम म्हणून ही प्रोव्हिजन. आता हा जो सेक्शन 43A मधला जो 4 आहे त्या अनुषंगानं 36(4) जो अंमलात जो इंट्रोड्यूस झालेला आहे तो म्हणतो की यू क्लेम इट ओव्हर अँड अबोव 10% ऑफ द ITC मॅच्ड. आणि ते याच्या आधी मी सांगितलं त्याप्रमाणे नंतरच्या काळात 20%, नंतर पुन्हा 10% आणि टिल करोना लिव्ज इंडिया ॲज पर बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट्स. आता ही जी प्रोव्हिजन आहे जी मोस्ट क्रुशियल प्रोव्हिजन ज्या आजच्या चर्चेसाठी जर घ्यायच्या झाल्या तर ही 16(2)C आणि 16(4). प्रेझेंटली वी आर ऑन 16(2)C. At the beginning, our president, Mr. Dinesh Tambe said, only by saying that a provision is unjustified, it will not serve the purpose. is very much correct. But at the same time, one cannot go directly to the court and say this is unjustified and that's why it should be decided as unconstitutional. That also cannot happen so suddenly. And for that purpose, what is required is an attempt from the purchaser. आपल्याला तो attempt आज करायचा आहे. आणि त्याच्यामुळे या काही प्रिकॉशन्स मी आपल्या समोर ठेवतोय आणि मला असं म्हणायचं की बुक्स ऑफ रेसिपियंट्स आर सुप्रीम. आता आपल्यामध्ये काही केसेस घ्या. देर आर केसेस वेअर 2 GST numbers were granted to one taxable person. One was granted by Excise Department and another one by VAT Department. In sales invoice issued during first few periods. आता ही जी केस मी रेसिपियंट बद्दल बोलतोय, परंतु सध्या जो प्रॉब्लेम मी सांगतोय तो सप्लायरचा सांगतोय. ज्या वेळेला सप्लायरला 2 GST नंबर ग्रँट केले गेले आणि काही बिल्स ही त्यांनी एक्साइज डिपार्टमेंटनी जो नंबर दिला होता त्याच्यातून इश्यू केली आणि काही बिल्स त्यांनी काही बिलांवरती हा नंबर घातला गेला. किंवा अजून एक प्रॉब्लेम असा होता की त्याच्या हे लक्षात येईपर्यंत काही रिटर्न्स मध्ये GSTR 3B आणि GSTR 1 त्यांनी जो सप्लाय दाखवला आउटवर्ड सप्लाय तो एका ठिकाणी एक्साइज नंबर वापरला, एका ठिकाणी व्हॅट डिपार्टमेंटने दिलेला GST नंबर वापरला. ॲज अ रिझल्ट व्हॉट हॅपन, रेसिपियंट इज फेसिंग द प्रॉब्लेम ऑफ मिसमॅच. कारण काही GSTR 3B मध्ये त्याचा काही टर्नओव्हर गेला, काही GSTR 1 मध्ये गेला. अँड द अथॉरिटीज are saying that it is not shown in GSTR 1 or GSTR 3B. याच्यात सारखी अनेक कारणे आहेत आणि म्हणून ज्या वेळेला बिकॉज ऑफ the difficulty faced by the supplier, it was not shown in 3B or rather GSTR 1. ते जसं कारण मी याच्या आधी सांगितलं तशी पुढची रिझन्स बघा. वेअर GSTN पोर्टल फेल टू मायग्रेट देम इनटू GST. येस, अशा पण केसेस आहेत. इवन आय एम फेसिंग दिस. In my case, what happened? My client do all these transitional whatever the requirements were for migrating into GST. He did everything, but because of technical glitch, he could not do. But he filed necessary annexures and contacted to the concerned proper officer. They were accepting. The case was also sent to GST authorities, but till today, means I can say 3-4 months before, that migration was not done. At last, what I did on my letterhead, I wrote to the Special Secretary of GST Council. I attached all those annexures and everything whatever I did, but there was no fault of mine. That was also accepted by the proper officer. So last line I wrote that please do not force me to approach the High Court. Trust me, in next 2 days that migration was done. But the problem we are facing today is that त्याचे रिटर्न्स फाईल करताना आम्ही टॅक्सेस तर आत्ता भरून टाकले, मायग्रेशन झाल्याबरोबर भरून टाकले. बट ॲज दिस टॅक्सेस आर पेड लेट, देर इज ऑटोमॅटिक इंटरेस्ट ऑन अस. ॲट दी सेम टाइम GSTR 1 भरण्याचा टाइम निघून गेलेला आहे. तुम्हाला माहिती आहे, सर्वात शेवटी जो टाइम एक्सटेंड केलेला होता तोही निघून गेलेला आहे. त्यामुळे माय रेसिपियंट्स आर इन प्रॉब्लेम. दे आर नॉट इन अ पोझिशन टू क्लेम ITC. दॅट इज वाय over and above that, late fee I will have to file because taxes now I have started paying. But if I have to upload all those returns 3B, then I will have to pay late fee. That's why I approached to the zonal commissioners, to my proper officer. When I approached with that letter and all these evidences, they said, yes, we have got all your emails earlier, but you see, you are an advocate. And that's why I am very straight to you. Unofficially, I was told that do not waste your time for issuing a notification from our side ki late fees means exempted and no interest notification, though they have the power to do. They said that unless you, this is our unwritten policy, that unless anyone approach to the High Court, we are not opening the portal or we are not exempting the late fee even in such genuine case like yours. And that's why I had to file the writ petition to the Bombay High Court, which I filed just before this lockdown started. In short, ही केस अशी आहे जी आपल्या समोर मी ठेवली की the GSTR 1 was not filed or 3B was not filed by the supplier, means say my client. For that you are punishing the recipient, and that's why recipient should not give up. Another reason B, whatever I have stated for not filing GSTR 1, technical glitch on 20th October, etc. Then personal difficulties of dealer like death, nearby person in family, critical crunch, etc. Then financial crunch and general slowdown in business. In all these cases, supplier wants to pay the tax which he has collected from the recipient, but he has not paid. Then whether the recipient wants to give up. याच्यासाठी मी जजमेंट आपल्या समोर ठेवलंय, ते नंतर शेअर केलं जाईल आपल्या समोर. In short, this is a case under the BST Act where similar provision was there, that if that was section 42(3) instead of 48(5) of the VAT Act. If the supplier fails to pay, then no ITC will be granted to the purchaser. But in this case, the court upheld the decision of the tribunal, which was against the revenue. And the court said, no, that is that ITC is rightly granted or approved by the tribunal. And kindly see these highlighted words, what the court held in that case. In an appropriate case, this court may decide as to whether there is a difference in the language of the unamended and amended provisions, and secondly, whether the mandate of the section is that the amount of refund shall not exceed the tax in respect of same goods paid into government treasury. Can this provision be applied to set off or restricted in its application to drawback or refund alone? We are keeping open this controversy for being decided in an appropriate case. याच्या शेवटचं जे सेंटेन्स आहे त्याचा उपयोग आपल्याला करायचा आहे टू एस्टॅब्लिश दॅट माय पर्चेसेस आर जेन्युइन, सो not to give up. That was the purpose behind giving this, sharing this judgment with you. Now about 16(2)(c), the words are actually paid by the supplier, but that is in for practical purposes that is to be treated as actually not paid. Actually not paid by the supplier, who has to prove? It is not the recipient has to prove. It is the proper officer has to establish that tax is actually not paid by the supplier. Proper officer cannot instruct the recipient to prove payment thereof. But by introducing rule 36(4), what they want is that every recipient piously see that it is not reflected into a, you don't claim, or claim only over and above that, say 10%. And therefore, the last line is very important. Proper officer cannot instruct the recipient to prove payment by the supplier. And that's why produce your books of accounts, and rest of the things are to be done by the department, not by the recipient. We should stick up to this. Fortunately, that ITC, means that output tax by the supplier, actually not paid. The government is not insisting on that. At present, what they do or are doing is that filing GSTR 1 by the supplier showing the transaction made to the customer is enough. So thank God, we have to say. They are not going to see or going to check at least not checking today, that once it is shown in GSTR1, it is enough for them. But whether supplier has paid the tax or not, because see this terminology, under GST Act, payment of tax by the supplier in cash or through ITC. Now my supplier has paid some amount in cash of his output tax and some through his ITC. Then what will happen if his ITC is not granted to him for the same reason? That's why I said, thank God, they are not checking supplier's ITC as on today. They are checking only whether supplier has shown his sales to the recipient as output tax in GSTR1 or not. Now here, as I said at the beginning, the onus to prove non-payment of tax on each outward supply is on proper officer. Therefore, when we are receiving the notices that you have claimed the ITC over and above what is being shown in 2A, so you pay back whether these notices are valid. I am saying not valid. As the officer do not have GSTR2, he cannot pass the transaction-wise order to disallow the ITC. इकडे ते काय करतायत? They are telling you to self-assess and pay back that ITC. But here we have to take a call. The recipient has to take a call. That he may match and he may contact his supplier that if you are not paid, you pay it. But his attempt should not stop. He should write to his supplier. But as far as the notices are received, that's why again and again I am saying, you should tell, the recipient should write to the officer concerned that you check transaction wise and then send the notice to me by saying the supplier has not paid that tax. It is your duty. Why? There is a supporting judgment of our Bombay Maharashtra Sales Tax Tribunal in case of SPI and company. Why I was insisting, not only because it is written under the law, but that is needed. Transaction wise non-payment of the tax by the supplier has to be established by the department. Otherwise they are shooting in the air that it is not matching, you pay. In this case it was held. It may be the second allegation regarding vendor not having paid tax can be proved by the revenue with the help of relevant record relating to these vendors. But in that case, it is to be noted that the facts in that regard have to be clearly brought on record transaction wise. That means the revenue will have to prove that on very goods purchased by the appellant, the concerned vendor has not paid the tax. पण हे चेकिंग आज डिपार्टमेंट करू शकत नाहीये, कारण GSTR1 त्यांच्याकडे जरी अवेलेबल असला तरी GSTR2 मध्ये जे ट्रान्झॅक्शन रेसिपिएंटनी दाखवलंय ते GSTR1 मध्ये आहे की नाही हे ऑफिसरना कळतच नाहीये. Unfortunately, they are also not making the assessment whereby they can call both and find out. तेही करू शकत नाहीयेत. That's why this judgment is very important, which I have showed. Now see further observations. In yellow I have marked. However, in that regard, nothing has been brought before us to show that the department has done any investigation in the matter and whether it is correlated to particular purchases of the appellant, that the corresponding sales of vendors on which non-tax payment is alleged. As the allegation of supplier's failure to pay tax is not established transaction-wise, the said recovery of sales tax from the petitioner is bad in law. Why I said this? Because as a recipient, when your client is confident that his purchases are genuine, then unless the transaction-wise attempt has been made by the departmental officer, that cannot be disallowed. This is one thing. But here they are saying that you pay whatever is not matched today because of Rule 36(4). And when it will be given back to us, because why I'm saying there is no finality, because first of all, they are not disallowing transaction wise, then allowing to include transactions not contained in the tax period for which 3B or GSTR 1 is being filed have resulted in no finality, in the sense तुम्ही स्वतःच अलाउ करता की GSTR 1 मध्ये किंवा 3B मध्ये कोणतीही ट्रान्झॅक्शन म्हणजे नॉट नेसेसरी ऑफ दॅट मंथ, that can be shown in subsequent months. So it can happen that the supplier who has not shown those transactions today can show those transactions tomorrow. Then how you are telling me as a recipient to pay back that liability? And that is why if you see the sections pertaining to assessment, there is no provision to make a comprehensive assessment for the entire year. आणि म्हणून ते सप्लायरची असेसमेंट करत नाहीत, ते परचेसरची पण असेसमेंट करत नाहीत. आणि अशा ठिकाणी वेदर दिस मिसमॅच हॅज अ फायनॅलिटी and still they are telling me that you pay back depending on rule 36(4) by looking to whether it is reflecting in 2A or not. आणि म्हणून हा जो अटेम्प्ट आतापर्यंत जो मी केला हे दाखवण्यासाठी की इन केस ऑफ genuine purchases we should not surrender. Now whether there is any solution to this question raised by my our learned president of the association, the solutions will not come so easily, and that is why when we are, as I said, confident that the purchases are genuine, kindly look to these sections. Section 62, assessment of non-filers of returns. When my supplier has not filed the return or not shown that transactions GSTR 1, then whether, though this section very clearly provides that there must be the assessment of non-filers of returns under section 62, still they are not doing that. Section 76, tax collected but not paid to government. When they knows that in GSTR 1 some of the transactions are not shown, then why they are not taking actions under section 76, tax collected but not paid to government? In such circumstances, the recipient should write to his proper officer as well as to the supplier's proper officer to take action against non-payer. Why I am saying this? मी स्वतः जेन्युइन परचेसेस केसेस मध्ये हे सगळं करतोय. मला जर एकदा कळलं की 2A मध्ये ट्रान्झॅक्शन रिफ्लेक्ट झालेलं नाहीये, मीन्स माय सप्लायर हॅज नॉट शोन दॅट ट्रान्झॅक्शन इन GSTR 1, then I am making a transaction by list. I am writing first to my client, means supplier, that I have purchased the goods from you, but you have not shown those transactions in GSTR 1 and have not paid the taxes, it seems. So you pay and give me the evidence. And thereafter, the same letters, type of letters, I am writing to the proper officer of the supplier as well as to recipient's proper officer. ही सर्व precaution आहे. Why? Because after taking all this care, only then, if the order is passed without taking these, invoking those two sections against the supplier, if they raise a demand on the purchaser, then we can fight out this issue. Otherwise, if we directly go to the High Court, I have filed a writ petition in High Court, which is the hearing was started before the COVID was, and now it was adjourned on 23rd of March, but because of COVID now it is not on board. त्या केसेस मध्ये या सर्व प्रिकॉशन मी घेतलेले आहेत. आणि त्या ठिकाणी माय पिटिशन to the court is not to declare that section 48(5), which is equal to 16(2)(c) as ultra vires. I am saying that only because the commissioner and all his subordinate officers have failed to take action against the suppliers, that's why this section is being invoked against me. आणि ज्या ठिकाणी the departmental officers have failed to take action against the supplier, then that loss of revenue should be borne by the government and not to be recovered from the purchaser. See the last line. In such case, the said loss of revenue should be borne by the government. आपण जर या सगळ्या गोष्टी एस्टॅब्लिश केलेल्या असतील, आपण प्रॉपर ऑफिसरला दोघांच्याही ही लेटर्स लिहिलेली असतील की यांची असेसमेंट करा आणि त्यांच्याकडून वसूल करा, अदरवाईज उद्या ही असेसमेंट टाइम बार झाली म्हणून तुम्ही म्हणाल, हे सर्व जर आपण केलेलं असेल तर आपण एस्टॅब्लिश करू शकतो की देर इज अ सप्लाय कमिशनर्स फेल्युअर, डिपार्टमेंट्स फेल्युअर टू रिकवर दॅट टॅक्स फ्रॉम देम. आणि अशा ठिकाणी देर दी अराइज इंडिया वरती, दो इट इज अ व्हेरी नाईस जजमेंट, अराइज इंडिया इन केस ऑफ दिल्ली हायकोर्ट विच इज कन्फर्म बाय द सुप्रीम कोर्ट, आय एम नॉट मेकिंग दी यूज ऑफ दॅट जजमेंट मच. मी ही सर्व प्रिकॉशन त्या ठिकाणी घेतोय अशा केसेसमध्ये. जे जे रिट पिटिशन मी बॉम्बे हायकोर्टला केलेत किंवा ज्याच्यामध्ये अपील फाईल केलंय आफ्टर ट्रायब्युनल्स रिजेक्शन ऑफ माय क्लेम, त्या ठिकाणी प्रिकॉशन घेऊन ही जी लास्ट लाईन आहे, कारण त्या ठिकाणी UK कोर्टची जजमेंट्स माझ्या हातामध्ये आलेली आहेत, ज्याच्यामध्ये त्यांनी म्हटलंय की डिपार्टमेंटने फक्त परचेसरच्या अगेन्स्ट ऍक्शन घेतली विदाउट टेकिंग एनी ऍक्शन अगेन्स्ट द सप्लायर, देन इनोसंट परचेसर कॅनॉट बी पनिश्ड. आणि तो लॉस ऑफ रेव्हेन्यू हा UK कोर्ट म्हणतंय दॅट मस्ट बी बोर्न बाय द रेव्हेन्यू, मीन्स गव्हर्नमेंट, नॉट बाय द परचेसर. सिमिलर सेक्शन्स जे व्हॅट मध्ये होते ते चार्जिंग सेक्शन्स इकडे आहेत, ते फक्त तुमच्या माहितीसाठी समोर आहेत. सेक्शन 9(1) की ज्या ठिकाणी सप्लायर कडून आउटपुट टॅक्स इट शॅल बी लेविड, तो नसेल लेवी केला तर यांनी लेवी करून तो वसूल केला पाहिजे. सेक्शन 3 अपॉइंटमेंट ऑफ व्हेरियस ऑफिसर्स टू कॅरी आउट दी पर्पजेस ऑफ द ऍक्ट, अँड सेक्शन 5 पॉवर्स ऑफ द ऑफिसर्स. सो दे शुड, हे एवढ्याचसाठी आपल्या लक्षात आणून देतोय की हे सर्व इश्यू आपण कमिशनरच्या लक्षात आणून दिले पाहिजेत टू एस्टॅब्लिश अवर केस. विथ दिस, क्लॉज D provides this that ITC cannot be availed unless the return under section 39 is furnished. मी सुरुवातीला तुम्हाला दाखवलं, अंडर दी ओल्ड ऍक्ट रिटर्न फाईल नाही केला तरी ऍट दी टाइम ऑफ असेसमेंट ITC जर तुमचे परचेसेस जेन्युइन असतील, if you produce the tax invoice, proper entry in our books of accounts, then the commissioner was bound to grant that set off. But here see this condition D. ITC cannot be availed unless the return under section 39 is furnished. Now the issue is what? Return not furnished and investigation commenced. ITC cannot be allowed by investigation officer. This denial may be as per law, because return is not filed, so obviously it is not credited to my ITC ledger. But the question is whether such law is justified. जे आपल्याला पुढे पाहायचंय. No doubt I was supposed to file the return. I have not filed. But now when you are passing an assessment order and making a demand, at that time, if I am otherwise eligible, only because the return is not filed, whether that ITC to be forgotten for over. Before we deal with this, kindly see also, we have to see that section 16(4). Now see, before we go to 16(4), now see this proviso to section 16(2). First proviso is all right. Second proviso, where a recipient fails to pay the purchase price and tax to the supplier within 6 months from the date of invoice, the ITC availed shall be added to his output tax liability. मला सांगा, by any stretch of imagination, if I do not pay the consideration to my supplier, is there any loss of revenue to the government if I claim the ITC? Because this is not a case that the supplier has not paid the tax to the government. He has already paid that tax to the government. But here what this provision says, if I fail to pay the consideration to my supplier then that tax, that ITC element has to be paid as my output tax liability. Whether this provision, if challenged, can survive. Now, question is whether this provision is basically justified, and is there any provision under the law? Is there any, can this be called as a charging section? Charging section is 9(1). To pay the tax, levy the tax on output supply, outward supply. On that, there is a provision to levy tax. Under GST, there is no provision for purchase tax. RCM is a different concept. Therefore, by saying that ITC shall be paid as output tax liability, whether this will survive forever. As far as I am concerned, I am not at all advising my clients to pay this as output tax liability, for the reason that my client has not paid the consideration to his supplier. Because according to me, this is irrational provision. Today or tomorrow, this shall be struck down, because this is not a deeming provision to levy tax that must have come under 9(1). To say that such has to be treated as outward supply, which they cannot do actually, and to levy on that output tax liability. This is unjust provision. Now, third proviso. After the aforesaid amount is paid to supplier, recipient shall be entitled to avail the credit of said ITC. That is all right. But question is, if I don't pay, even till today, under the GST law, there is no provision for bad debts. And that is why today or tomorrow, when my supplier will send me the notice, I will have to pay that amount. So I have to reverse that ITC. That is the issue which I have raised before you. Now, section 16(4). Now, here what the section says, that as I said earlier, that ITC of the transaction, say inward transactions of this month, the law has permitted me to show those purchases in the subsequent month also. But what this section 64 says, that suppose if the purchases are of March, say 17-18, then in March I have purchased, but for some reason those are not shown in the return for the month of March. 3B, it is not shown. Then the 16(4) says, at least I must show that along with the return of September of the subsequent year. I must show that. Say the last date which was extended, that was say 20th October, normally whatever that date is, or whatever that extended date is for filing the return for September. सप्टेंबरच्या रिटर्न मध्ये हा जर मी ITC क्लेम केला नाही, then that will lapse. That is the provision, that is nothing but the provision of 16(4). This is the deviation from VAT Act, under which ITC was being granted at the time of assessment, as I said at the beginning, and the tribunal and the courts took the view in number of cases that every return filed before assessment shall be taken into account by the assessing officer. Now, here what they are doing, by making provision of 16(4), they are debarring me or prohibiting me to show those transactions, and no ITC will be granted even in spite of that I showed those transactions. Now I am coming to the challenging these provisions. Now at present I have put before you 3 provisions as unjustified. First one is 16(2)(c), tax is not paid by the supplier. Second one, the payment is not made to my supplier within 6 months. Then I have to pay back. That is the another provision I put before you. And third one, section 16(4). As far as the challenge to this provision is concerned, we should be very much cautious. ही जी केस तुमच्या समोर जी मी ठेवलेली आहे, डिटेल्स नंतर आपण पाहू शकता. ही केस बेसिकली काय आहे की आर्टिकल 19 ऑफ द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ऑफ इंडिया, ज्याच्यामध्ये वेगवेगळे राईट्स जे दिलेले आहेत. राईट टू फॉर्म अन असोसिएशन, दे राईट फॉर टू राईट ऑफ स्पीच, राईट टू राईट और पब्लिश एनिथिंग, राईट टू स्पीक, हे जे राईट्स दिलेले आहेत आर्टिकल 19नी, ते राईट कॅन बी रिस्ट्रिक्टेड, प्रोहिबिटेड बाय दी गव्हर्नमेंट, provided prohibiting such rights of the citizen of India are in public interest. If they are in public interest, then if we challenge, then nothing can be done. Government will say they are in public interest, so you cannot challenge them. आणि for that purpose only मी तुमच्या समोर ठेवलं की या ठिकाणी तुम्ही काय काय प्रोव्हिजनच्या आहेत त्या लक्षात आणून देऊन, आणि यू मस्ट टेक द एफर्ट्स. दॅट्स वाय सेड दॅट इन केस ऑफ 16(2)(c, राईट टू द कन्सर्न ऑफिसर्स टू रिकवर दॅट टॅक्स फ्रॉम द सप्लायर एटसेट्रा. ॲट द सेम टाइम GSTR 1 मध्ये दाखवता आले नाहीत सप्लायरला फॉर टेक्निकल ग्लिच. For that purpose, why I should be punished, etc. Bring it to their notice. And third one about 16(4). Unfortunately, जे मी ट्रान 1 बद्दल जे जजमेंट बॉम्बे हायकोर्टाचं, इफ आय मिस्टेक नॉट, नेल्को लिमिटेड, ते जजमेंट जे आपल्या समोर सांगितलं, त्या जजमेंटमध्ये दो इट वॉज ऑन ट्रान 1, दी हायकोर्ट हॅज टेकन दी कॉग्निझन्स ऑफ 16(4) ऑल्सो, बॉम्बे हायकोर्ट. And that while disposing that judgment, Bombay High Court said that the conditions can be put by the government, because 16(1) we have seen that subject to restrictions and conditions. That's why Bombay High Court said to putting a condition by way of 16(4) that ITC cannot claim beyond a return for September of the next year if it is filed after, say, 20th October of the subsequent year. So government is not wrong because they have put this condition, and that has been upheld. Now here my idea is not that it was not properly argued, etc. I am not at all doing that. What I mean to say that when the Bombay High Court has held two things against the SSE regarding 16(4) as well, and regarding Tran 1. Both the judgments are against the SSE, affording section 16(4) and the technical glitch concept of the department. But at the same time, there is a judgment of Delhi High Court about Tran 1. If when we talk about challenge, my advice is that that challenge should not be a premature one. Unless we take all these provisions and unless the order is passed to disallow that ITC for these 3 reasons, till then it should not be, no appeal should be filed, or we should not be proceeded directly to the challenge. Because the judgment आपल्या समोर जे ठेवलेले आहे, these are the important observations of the Supreme Court. त्याचा क्रक्स असा आहे की कोर्ट कॅन डू समथिंग ओनली व्हेन द रिस्ट्रिक्शन्स imposed are reasonable in the interest of the general public. इथे आपण लक्षात घ्यायला हवंय की एका साइडला तुम्ही सांगता की मॅच झाला तरच तो ITC तुम्ही क्लेम करा, आणि दुसऱ्या साइडला तुम्ही रिस्ट्रिक्शन ठेवता की तो ITC हा 16(4) मध्ये दिलेल्या वेळेतच केला गेला पाहिजे, आणि ITC रिटर्न मध्ये क्लेम केल्याशिवाय तुम्हाला कधीच मिळणार नाही. आता बेसिकली when this GST Act was being canvassed from the government side, they were saying the scheme of the act is to avoid cascading effect. That's why this ITC is granted. When the ITC is under the scheme of the act, if it is disallowed by putting such conditions, whether to put these conditions are in the general public interest. आणि आपल्याला या अशा प्रकारच्या केसेस मीन्स इन शॉर्ट नॉट टू गिव्ह अप. प्रोव्हिजन आहे, तुम्हाला जर ती पायसली फॉलो करायची असेल तर तुम्ही क्लायंटला सांगा की जो अनमॅच आहे यू पे बॅक. 20 ऑक्टोबर पर्यंत च्या रिटर्न मध्ये क्लेम केला नसेल, यू फॉरगेट इट. द मोमेंट यू टेल दिस ॲडवाइस टू युअर क्लायंट, आय एम शुअर नन ऑफ युअर क्लायंट इज गोइंग टू ॲक्सेप्ट. ते म्हणतील तुम्हाला काही प्रॅक्टिस करता येत नाही. असं थोडं होऊ शकतं. ते सांगण्याचा उद्देश एवढाच आहे, या केसेस तुमच्या समोर ठेवण्याचा उद्देश एवढाच आहे की कोणतीही प्रोव्हिजन ही ज्या वेळेला अल्ट्रावायर्स म्हणून डिक्लेअर करता येत नाही कोर्टाला, त्यावेळेला इट इज टू बी रीड डाऊन बाय द कोर्ट. म्हणजे असं असलं तरी, जे दिल्ली हायकोर्टने केलं आणि बाकीच्या सर्व हायकोर्टने केलं, की प्रोव्हिजन मे नॉट बी सो विच कॅन बी डिक्लेअर्ड ॲज अनकॉन्स्टिट्युशनल, बट when the reasons have been put forth by the aggrieved person, by the SSE, then to ignore them and do the relief, grant the relief, do the justice with the concerned affected party, that view can be taken by the court. आणि एवढ्यासाठी हे जजमेंट मी आपल्या समोर ठेवलं, हे ऑब्झर्वेशन ठेवलं. आणि आर्टिकल 19 इन शॉर्ट आपल्याला माहिती आहे की आफ्टर द जजमेंट ऑफ महालक्ष्मी एव्हरीवन गेव अप दॅट नथिंग कॅन बी डन. पण तरीही अराइज इंडियाचं जजमेंट पूर्वीच्या कायद्याखाली आलं. हे लक्षात घेता ॲट दी सेम टाइम जे रूट पिटिशन ज्या लाईनवरती मी जातोय, ज्याच्यामध्ये मी महालक्ष्मी किंवा अराइज इंडिया कोर्टच करत नाहीये, कारण अराइज इंडिया सुप्रीम आहे म्हटलं तर महालक्ष्मी इज ऑल्सो अपेल्ड बाय द सुप्रीम कोर्ट. आणि त्याच्यामुळे यू हॅव टू क्रिएट अ केस वेअर बाय दी सप्लायर्स कडून पैसे वसूल करायला डिपार्टमेंट हॅज फेल्ड. या सगळ्यासाठी हा उहापोह मी आपल्या समोर केला. टू गेट इट डिक्लेअर्ड ॲज unconstitutional is not easy, but to get it read down that particular provision we can convince the court. आणि म्हणून माझा ॲडवाइस आहे नॉट टू गिव्ह अप. एवढ्यासाठीच हा अटेम्प्ट ठेवला. प्रत्येकाला कोर्टात जाता येणार नाही, पण हे सगळे अटेम्प्ट करून ठेवणं हे प्रत्येकाच्या हातात आहे. विथ दिस नाऊ रूल 36 मध्ये थोडक्यात याच्या आधी सांगितल्याप्रमाणे वेगवेगळे चेंजेस झालेले आहेत. त्याच्यावरती आपण टाइम देण्याची आवश्यकता नाहीये. प्रश्न येतो तो इफेक्टिव्ह केव्हापासून. इफेक्टिव्ह विचाराल तर 9/10/19 पासून. पण खरं सांगायचं तर काही जणांचं असं मत आहे की रूल 36 मस्ट बी चॅलेंज ॲज इरॅशनल एटसेट्रा. आय एम सेइंग रूल 36 नीड नॉट बी चॅलेंज ॲट ऑल. मी म्हणतो की रूल 36 ही उलट बेनिफिशियल प्रोव्हिजन आहे. याचा मेन रूट काय आहे? 16(2)C. 16(2)C काय सांगतो? सप्लायरने टॅक्स पे केला नाही तर परचेसरने तो पे बॅक करायचा. ITC यू पे बॅक रिव्हर्स. रूल 36 उलट तुम्हाला एक सूचना देतो की जर 2A मध्ये रिफ्लेक्ट झाला नसेल तर फक्त 10% एक्स्ट्रा क्लेम करा. कारण त्यांना माहिती आहे की आज ना उद्या जर सप्लायरने GSTR 1 भरला तर तो मॅच होईल अँड दॅट कॅन बी ग्रँटेड. म्हणून हा फक्त परचेसरला दिलेली फॅसिलिटी आहे की आज 10% जास्त क्लेम तुम्ही केला तरी चालेल. त्यामुळे हा रूल चॅलेंज करण्याचा प्रश्न येत नाही. हे माझं आजही अजून ठाम मत आहे. कारण रूल 36चं जे रूट आहे तो 16(2)C आहे. हाऊ टू चॅलेंज दॅट इन अप्रोप्रिएट केस याच्याबद्दल मी आपल्यासमोर उहापोह केलेला आहे. आणि त्याच्यामुळे रूल 36 चॅलेंज करण्याची आवश्यकता नाही. पण एक प्रश्न असा राहतो की प्रिन्सिपल कमिशनर GSTने जे सर्क्युलर इश्यू केलंय त्याच्यामध्ये त्यांनी म्हटलेलं आहे की हा ॲडिशनल ITC जो आहे हा ITC हा वेदर बिल टू बिल और डीलर टू डीलर और ओव्हरऑल. आणि सर्क्युलर असं गाईडलाईन देत आहे की ते म्हणतात ओव्हरऑल जेवढा ITC ओव्हरऑल मॅच म्हणून जो दिसतो त्याच्यापेक्षा 10% जास्ती करा. अकॉर्डिंग टू मी दिस सर्क्युलर इन मिसगायडिंग अस. मिसगायडिंग कुणाला? की ज्यांना 16(2)C पाळायचा आहे त्यांना माझा ॲडवाइस आहे. ज्यांना पाळायचा असेल त्यांना पेबॅक करायचा असेल त्यांच्यासाठी की जर तो रूल पाळायचाच असेल तर 10% एक्स्ट्रा क्लेम करू नका, सर्क्युलर सांगत असलं तरी, कारण अल्टिमेटली हा प्रोव्हिजनल ग्रँट ऑफ ITC आहे, जो ऍडिशनल 10% आहे तो, जे आपण सुरुवातीला पाहिलं. त्यामुळे फायनली ज्या वेळेला तुमच्या इन्व्हेस्टिगेशन होईल आणि जर लक्षात आलं हा जो ऍडिशनल 10% जो क्लेम केलेला होता, फॉर दॅट नो GSTR1 was filed by the supplier, then what will be our stand? At that time, can they grant this ITC? Obviously not. They cannot grant, because 16(2)(c) says what? Tax is not actually paid by the supplier. That's why it is not reflected in GSTR1 to the extent whatever you have claimed, that is not shown. And so ultimately that will go away, though that is provisionally granted. त्याच्यामुळे 16(2)(c) आणि रूल 36 चा जर विचार करायचा झाला तर do not do anything with half-hearted mind. You decide on your own in case of genuine purchases whether you want to fight out or you want to give up. If you want to fight out, then ignore this rule 36 also. You claim the entire ITC and follow whatever I have said earlier and proceed further. With this, we have to go to rule 86A, which has been inserted by this notification. In short, 86A काय आहे, that it gives power to the in short I can say to the proper officer, that whenever they doubt that any ITC which is not eligible has been fraudulently claimed by the recipient, or any invoices were not are not the genuine transaction invoices, or for any other reason, then that ITC can be blocked by the proper officer. This is that rule 86A. आज तरी या रूलचा वापर अजून करायला सुरुवात केलेली नाहीये, पण जसं सुरुवातीला मी म्हटलं की कोणती प्रोव्हिजन चॅलेंज केव्हा करायची, ज्या वेळेला हे ऑटोमॅटिक इन शॉर्ट रिटर्न्स येतील, जे पाईपलाईन मध्ये आहेत ते अजून इम्प्लिमेंट केलेले नाहीयेत, त्यावेळेला ओनली मॅच ITC they will grant. At that time, one has to challenge at that time only for the reasons I stated earlier. But otherwise, the circular on rule 36 says, the commissioner says that as we are not doing this from the portal automatically, we suggest that ITC should be claimed as per rule 36. And that's why it is, I am saying, advisory circular. Now, rule 42.2 and rule 42.3. I'm sorry, rule 42 and rule 43. ते जे rule आहेत, these are basically for computation of ITC. Rule 42 is respect of other inputs excluding capital assets, and rule 43 is regarding capital asset. याच्यापैकी for today's lecture, I have chosen only rule 42.2. The input tax credit determined under sub rule 1 shall be calculated finally for the financial year before the due date for furnishing of the return for the month of September following the end of the financial year to which such credit relates in the manner specified in this rate sub rule. Normally लक्षात घ्या, हा 42.2 मी कशासाठी पॉइंट आउट करतोय. नॉर्मली 3B फाईल झाला की ITC बद्दल आपण काळजी करत नाही till the notice comes regarding mismatch etc. ज्या वेळेला annual return फाईल करायचा आहे by way of that reconciliation statement and all, but especially annual return, ज्याची डेट ही सप्टेंबर 20 ऑक्टोबरच्या बरीच पुढे गेलेली आहे, आपल्याला माहिती आहे. आपण कोणीही अशा प्रकारचं कॅल्क्युलेशन जे 42.2 मध्ये तुम्हाला वॉर्न केलेलं आहे, तुम्हाला एक संधी दिलेली आहे to calculate for the entire financial year such credit. आणि जे क्रेडिट तुम्ही एक्सेस घेतला असेल, हे ए आणि बी जर तुम्ही घेतले, त्याचे सब क्लॉजेस जे मी इथे दिलेले आहेत, तर ते सांगतात, ए सांगतो की जर ITC टेकन इज मोर, ITC टेकन इन 3B इज मोर, बट तुम्ही फायनल कॅल्क्युलेशन केल्यावरती तो ITC जर कमी असेल तर यू रिव्हर्स दॅट वाईल फायलिंग द रिटर्न फॉर द सप्टेंबर ऑफ द नेक्स्ट इयर. आणि जर तो जास्ती असेल तर यू क्लेम दॅट क्रेडिट on the same line. For that purpose, kindly go through afterwards, not now, by that clause B. पण आपण नॉर्मल कोर्समध्ये असं कॅल्क्युलेशन जे आपण सप्टेंबरचा रिटर्न फाईल करण्यापूर्वी केलं पाहिजे ते कॅल्क्युलेशन नॉर्मली माझं ऑफिस सुद्धा करत नव्हतं. परंतु हा ITCचा टॉपिक डेव्हलप करताना मी माझ्या प्रोव्हिजनकडे लक्ष गेलं आणि त्याच्यामुळे ते तुमच्या लक्षात आणून देण्यासाठी हा उहापोह मी केला की सप्टेंबरचा रिटर्न फाईल करण्यापूर्वी जे ITC पूर्वी क्लेम केलेलं नसेल ते लक्षात यावं म्हणून इयरली वर्किंग करा. दॅट विल गिव्ह यू अ चान्स टू वर्कआउट दी करेक्ट ITC. आता ॲन्युअल रिटर्न अंडर सेक्शन 44 हा मी इथे कशासाठी आणला? एक रेक्टिफिकेशन मी जे तुम्हाला याच्या आधी दाखवून दिलं 42(2) प्रमाणे. Now here, after the mistake in ITC are rectified in return for September of subsequent period, there is one more chance to rectify such mistake in annual return to be filed on or before 31st December of subsequent period or on the extended date. But whether ITC determined as per annual return becomes permanent. याच्या आधी नो फायनॅलिटी क्लॉज तुम्हाला सांगितला होता. ॲन्युअल रिटर्न तयार करताना एक्स्ट्रा ITC वी वर्कआउट, पण ॲन्युअल रिटर्न प्रमाणे पुन्हा रिवाइज रिटर्न भरण्याची प्रोव्हिजन आपल्या कायद्यात नाही. आणि त्याच्यामुळे ॲन्युअल रिटर्न हा निव्वळ फार्स झालेला आहे. इफ यू हॅव सम एनी शॉर्ट पेमेंट देन यू हॅव टू पे दॅट, अ चान्स टू यू. बट ITC इज लेस क्लेम्ड or other not claimed along with the last return, that is September return, last chance I mean, तो जर घेतला नाही तर annual return is a farce for you. The extra eligible ITC which you come to know because of the annual return, there is no provision to claim that extra ITC which annual return shows. This is again unjustified. सुरुवातीला मी तुम्हाला सांगितल्याप्रमाणे मिसमॅचिंग ऑफ ट्रान्झॅक्शन्स हा इम्पॉर्टन्स अशासाठी आहे. इफ वी लुक टू सेक्शन, गो बॅक टू सेक्शन 16(1) अगेन. 16(1) grants you ITC on provisional basis, which will become permanent or which will be taken away from the recipient after all these sections, right from section 42 onwards, matching, reversal and reclaim of ITC. आणि म्हणून हे सेक्शन इम्पॉर्टंट आहेत. The details of every inward supply furnished by recipient for a tax period shall be matched with the corresponding details of outward supply furnished by the corresponding supplier in his valid return for the same tax period or any preceding tax period. आता हे मॅच कोणी करायचे? That has to be done by the department. Now say subsection 2. The claim of ITC match with details of corresponding outward supply shall be communicated to recipient. Where the ITC is in excess of the tax declared by the supplier for the same supply, or the outward supply is not declared by the supplier in his valid return, the discrepancy shall be communicated to both such persons. आजच्या दिवशी हा सेक्शन 42 जो लास्ट सबसेक्शन 3 आता मी वाचला, इफ देर इज एनी डिस्क्रिपन्सी then they are supposed to inform to both the persons, supplier as well as the purchaser. Today they are not doing that. They are failing in their duty. आणि I am saying they are not bringing into play GSTR2, कारण GSTR2 अंमलात आला तर त्यांच्याकडे डायरेक्टली त्यांना टूल मिळणार आहे टू क्रॉस मॅच. ती लायबिलिटी टाळण्यासाठी आय एम सेइंग आय एम मेकिंग अ चार्ज. दॅट्स वाय दे आर नॉट इंट्रोड्युसिंग GSTR2 फायलिंग प्रोव्हिजन. अदरवाइज बिकॉज ऑफ सेक्शन 42 त्यांनाच तो क्रॉस मॅच करावा लागेल. This is in short that section 42 matching and reversal reclaim etc. But at present what they are doing, they are only showing this to you and putting the liability on the recipient to pay back by reversal of the ITC etc. Friends, the idea of putting the subject before you was not to explain on what transaction ITC can be claimed and what transaction ITC cannot be claimed. Because the title which was given, unjustified provisions. Because whatever the ITC you can avail, that is provided from section 16 to section and section 17 and 18 as well. Primarily, ITC is allowable, eligible on every inward transaction, except what is not provided under other sections, that is mainly section 17(5) and other sections which says, that is section 71 onwards, that ITC will be granted only to the extent the inward supply is used for the purpose of making taxable supply. If it is used for exempted supply, then no ITC etc. But primarily the purpose of today was, so long as the ITC means the tax paid to the supplier is concerned, the provision must have been in form 3B, because everything is governed by the portal and by ITC credit ledger. But unfortunately, 3B has the provision only to show whatever you can avail today itself. And that is why I took the time only to point out to you all that while claiming ITC, which the law itself says it is provisional. So provisional ITC must be claimed by keeping all these things into account, and that's why I give you the example of the stock. In case of a stock, it must be claimed. Now your portal is so designed that ITC means tax paid to the supplier, you are not putting it into ITC credit ledger. If it is not put there, later on there is a bar that if it is not put before a certain period, then it is gone forever. That's why I showed to you all these provisions, and I have delivered the initial the necessary part of this. These are only the sections which are jotted down, which are the relevant one for my purpose, as well as before I write on this subject. Or rather, I am not saying that I have written a paper on this. I have only written the points which will be beneficial to us to fight with or litigate the unjustified provisions. That's why I jotted down and wrote only the relevant part of these sections and put before you to give you and to myself as well the hint and to study this. With these remarks, at present I conclude and request the organizers to give the chance to the delegates to raise the queries in addition to whatever I have said earlier, if they have in their mind.
Thank you, sir. Many participants have raised queries and posted it in chat box. Now I request Mahesh Madholkar, Managing Committee member, to coordinate question answer session. Over to you, Mahesh sir. महेश सर तुम्ही आहे का?
Anyone can ask the query, please.
Hello. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sir, in chat box there, good afternoon, and thanks to Jalgaon District Tax Practitioner Association. In chat box, there are already 6 to 7 queries. Harshit Malpani, after Delhi High Court judgment, government came with retrospective amendment in section 140 by the way of notification on 16 May 2020. Can Trans 1 be filed even after such amendment now?
According to me, yes, but as the portal will not be made open, as I said in the course of my address, that physical filing or by emailing that scan copy of the Trans 1, one has to make an attempt on the lines of the judgment given by the Delhi High Court that they have taken the recourse to the Limitation Act, as per which 3 years period is there, and that's why before 30th June, everyone must file Tran 1, or if they have any rectification for that, for any mistake committed by them where the Tran 1 was filed, all this means in that case rectificationary form Tran 1, they must file before 30th June. Otherwise, they will miss the bus.
Okay, still time is there. Yeah. There is another question by Sahabrao Patil and Vipin Gupta also may have the same query. ITC remained to claim in financial year 2018-19 up to September 2019 and claim in 3B of December 2019. Whether allowable, and please,
if you
and it is reflected in ITC in 2A also,
yes.
In that case.
Right. Looking to section 16(4), you cannot. But here, everyone is facing the problem. When there is the provision under section 63, if I mistake not, to pass the unilateral assessment. There was a case of mine, my client, where the return for March 18 was not filed by him till this year, 20 beginning, up to January, that return was not filed. When the ex parte order was passed, in January 20, he filed that return for March 18. Now look what has happened in that. According to the officer concerned, no set of no ITC was granted by him in the, obviously that was ex parte order. But as the GSTR 1 was filed by my client, he took the exact turnover of outward supply and assessed me accordingly. But without granting ITC, he made that assessment and levied additional interest and penalty. When I filed my appeal, the two questions were before me. First of all, that 10% payment to be made. Then I said that if the ITC is granted, then obviously there is nothing payable. So the demand itself is wrong. And as that return was filed after, because that period prescribed for that, for automatic cancellation of that assessment order is, if I mistake not, 1 month period. But this was filed 2 years thereafter. And therefore I had no option to file that appeal. I did it. But here, when it will come for hearing, at that time, so long as that section 16(4) is there, primarily I will not get that ITC. I will have to forget. That's why I started with, unless the return is filed and unless that transaction is shown in that last return of September next, one cannot claim that. That's why I gave all such precautionary measures. That is the purpose.
Okay. A has purchased goods from X. Input tax is denied. because X did not actually deposit the tax collected from A. Is it valid?
The explanations are already given. First of all, the moment he comes to know by way of notice or whatever, then he should write to the proper officer of the supplier, as I said at the beginning, and make the attempt. And then only by proceeding further, he can go to the extent of saying that the assessment of supplier is not done and the time period for making the assessment of the supplier is also over. And this liability on me has been fastened because of non-performance of the statutory duty of the proper officer of my supplier. I'm sorry, proper officer of my supplier. Yes. That is why this should be borne by the revenue. And that's why I put up those cases before you.
Okay. Yeah, Pradeep Safre, trans 1 is filed in time, but trans 2 is not filed. What is the remedy?
In that case, according to me, that if the trans 2 is not filed in time, at that time, once the trans 1 is filed, then the question of verification comes. Then at the course of verification, now he is not in a position to file trans 2, right?
Yeah.
And in that case, again, he has to, by giving the reasons, whatever were there, then he has to write to the officer concerned to open the portal for filing trans 2, or as per my books of accounts, was that liability is verified by you, means by the officer, that shall be granted, that has to be put. What I did in one of my case, that while filing trans 1, that was filed in time, etc., officer granted me the requisite credit, whatever was claimed. But later on, I found there was a mistake made in claiming that ITC because of miscommunication between my client and my office. Then I took a stand that to that extent, ITC disallowed, I do understand that credit disallowed. But whatever was claimed wrongly, that was under VAT, it was claimed wrongly. But the exact amount I was entitled because that was actually pertaining to the stock, which was wrongly claimed as the VAT ITC, which was already claimed, but it was double claimed. So I said, there I am ready to pay back, but you grant me that ITC under central existing law, that because that was pertaining to excise credit related to that stock. And that whatever their attitude is that whatever the mistakes you have made, that we will not overcome, that they cannot do. Because ultimately, after the trans 1 is filed, the verification has to be done. After verification, some of the transactions which were not shown, that they shall grant. That is my stand. So that in your case as well, produce the requisite data to the officer concerned. As a policy, they are not granting that. But there is no option but to keep the litigation live.
Yeah. Thank you, Deepak ji. Really, it is a live, means you have gone through, and that is the practical solution. One question is from Nilesh Mehta. If payment is made after 180 days, then the reversal also made as per provision to section 16.2 will be allowed up to what time?
No. In the said section, they have clearly made a provision that today, suppose today is say 185th day, and I am paying that one as output tax liability. Then the moment I make the payment of that remaining consideration, then that will be recredited. I can claim that, and for that 16.4 will not be applicable because that was already claimed earlier. So the moment you make the payment, any time thereafter, at that time it can be reclaimed. So that provision is there in that respective section itself.
Okay. This is question by Sahibra Patil, which is other than ITC actually, relating to refund to ITC. Dealer is 100% export of goods and as payment of GST tax rate, and goods is 5%. and goods purchased at the rate of 18% after refund of IGST of export balance remained of ITC. Can balance ITC claim under inverted duty structure?
I will have to digest that query first. Query other than ITC relating to refund of ITC, dealer is 100% export of goods on payment of GST. Tax rate of GST is 5% and goods purchased at 18%. After refund of IGST of export balance remain of ITC. Can balance of ITC claim under inverted duty structure? As far as the input tax paid, that was paid at 18%, though the goods were liable for 5%, right?
Yeah.
The wording is basically not that the tax legally charged by the supplier and legally paid. Whatever was charged by the supplier, it is paid. That was paid at the rate of 18%, though it is liable for 5%. Therefore, if the tax is paid at 18% and if he is falling in that inverted duty structure, then I don't think there is a bar only on the ground that those goods or supply was liable to 5% in legally. If I have understood the query correctly, then that my answer to this is this.
Okay. Sudhir Awadji has raised the question. RCM tax not paid for 2017-18 can be paid in 2020-21, and if yes, then can it be claimed in ITC in 2021?
No, kindly repeat the query.
See, RCM tax not paid for 17-18. They realize now,
Right.
and whether it can be paid in 2021. And if it is paid in 2021, can it be claimed the ITC in 2021?
Obviously, the answer, if we read the section and the provisions as it cannot be, because that RCM paid, that ITC was supposed to be claimed before the last date which was given, that is 20th October, the last date for filing September return. Now that RCM has been paid, say today, so that you have missed that bus, and all these procedures one has to follow, whatever I stated in the course of my lecture. But if you read the section as it is, barely, then that ITC on RCM has to be forgotten.
Okay. IT Jain Jalgaon, he has a query. Jalgaon department is not accepting manual copy as our judgment is not given by jurisdictional court, trans 1. In that case, what is to be done?
If they are not accepting that copy, then as I said, send it by email and by a registered post parcel. That is only in our hand to establish that the attempt has been made and they have not considered.
And one more query from CK Merchant. The dealer of any other person on his behalf has received the goods from supplier factory on 20th March 2020. The ownership and risk has been transferred to dealer on 20th March. Supplier has properly filed 3B and GSTR 1. However, the goods received at dealer's factory on 3rd April 2020. Sir, in section 16, it is not mentioned that goods should be received at factory for availing ITC, as mentioned in Rule 4.1 of Stanward Credit Rule 2002, which allows ITC on received of goods in the factory of purchaser. Sir, my question is whether ITC can be taken in the month of March or the next year, April.
In reality, as far as that section is concerned, 16.1, if I mistake not, that the goods must have been actually received. These are actually received in the month of April. So he should have shown that one in the return, which is for the month of April. But if the rational stand is to be understood, then we have to take into account the earlier judgment in case of Sudha soft drinks under the old law. Though at the time of claiming all the conditions were not fulfilled, but when the assessment took place after 3 years or so, at that time all conditions were fulfilled, and that is why though the goods are actually received in the month of April, if he has already claimed in the month of March, then that should have been granted or should be granted.
And these last 10 days, the difficulties also will be helpful to him because of this COVID and all this, all shutdown and all this.
Yes. As far as the current
that-
position is concerned, all those
Yeah, because this
notifications.
is during that period only.
Yes.
One more question is from Jayesh Lalwani ji. Is it necessary that supplier should prepare UA bill to claim ITC by recipient?
I do not think that e-way bill has any role to play regarding the ITC. The purpose of e-way bill is totally different, that every transaction must be accountable. That's why. So the question of ITC claiming on that, nothing to do with preparation of e-way bill, etc., or the correct e-way bill, etc.
Yeah. Thank you very much, and thanks to Jalgaon District Tax Practitioner Association and Shirish Sisodia ji for giving me the opportunity, and our president Dinesh Tambre ji. One thing you had mentioned that you are giving references to your all the members. So there are still references of 1920 are there. Because of lockdown, we could not give it to this. With the permission of our president also, if at all anything is required from your side, kindly let us know so that we will be able to arrange to supply that answer at very concessional rate, which we have decided. So please, if any president can throw light on that. And this over to the Shirish Sisodia ji for next proceeding. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Mahesh sir. 2-3 queries are still remaining. Saibram Patil sir has asked, GST registered under GST. He collected tax. GTA registered under GST. He collected tax at the rate 5% and not 12% from registered person. Whether registered person is eligible to claim ITC, and what is the position of RCM in the hands of registered person?
So as far as the collection of the tax amount at higher rate, my earlier query will stand. Whatever has been collected from the recipient, that even though at the higher rate, then the recipient shall get the ITC. Why there is a restriction or prohibition, the recipient fails. It can be, please explain to me.
सर क्वेरी अशी आहे, हॅलो, जीटीए ने 5% टॅक्स कलेक्ट केला रिसिपियंट कडून. रिसिपियंट हा रजिस्टर्ड पर्सन आहे, त्याची लायबिलिटी आरसीएम मध्ये पण जीटीए ने 5% कलेक्ट केला.
ओके.
जीटीए ने 12% कलेक्ट केला तर आपल्याला इनपुट भेटेल. 5%चे इनपुट आपल्याला भेटेल का रजिस्टर्ड पर्सनला. आणि व्हॉट अबाउट आरसीएम? ऍक्च्युअली आरसीएम ने ची लायबिलिटी होती भरायची, म्हणजे रजिस्टर्ड पर्सनची लायबिलिटी होती आरसीएम भरायची, पण जीटीए ने कलेक्ट केल्यामुळे त्याने तो भरला नाही.
Okay. In short, RCM भरायला पाहिजे होता at the rate of what you said
5%.
5%.
पण कलेक्शन केल्यामुळे तो भरला नाही.
त्याने भरला नाही, तर 5% जो त्याने जीटीए ने कलेक्ट केलाय त्याला त्याचं इनपुट भेटेल का?
Here the question is to litigate. कारण पूर्वीच्या TDS मध्ये अशा प्रोव्हिजन्स येत होत्या की वर्क्स कॉन्ट्रॅक्टरला करायच्या पेमेंटचा TDS जर कापला नाही आणि भरला नाही, रादर तर when to claim that credit etc. आणि अशा rather I'm sorry, I was trying to equate this की मी TDS करायला पाहिजे पण मी तो केला नाही under the old law I am saying, but the supplier who is the works contractor has paid that total works contract, and if I establish that it is already paid to the government, then under the income tax law there are certain provisions whereby अशा ठिकाणी TDS नाही केला तरी that cannot be again recovered along with interest from the purchaser. On the same line, या ठिकाणी जीटीए ने टॅक्स जो कलेक्ट करायला नको होता तो केल्यामुळे आरसीएम भरला नसेल तर RCM ची लायबिलिटी बाय दी सेक्शन ऑटोमॅटिकली विल नॉट गो अवे. इट हॅज टू बी पेड. बट हिअर दी क्वेश्चन इज टू मेक आउट दी केस. त्यावेळेला कायद्यामध्ये प्रोव्हिजन नाही, त्या ठिकाणी यू हॅव टू मेक दी अटेम्प्ट की RCM मी भरायला पाहिजे होता, पण माझ्याकडून सप्लायरने तो वसूल केल्यामुळे मी तो भरलेला नाहीये. सो दॅट्स वाय आय शुड बी ॲब्झॉल्व्ड फ्रॉम मेकिंग दॅट पेमेंट ऑफ RCM अँड यू प्रोसीड फर्दर. कारण ते प्रयत्न केल्याशिवाय काही होणार नाही. जर आपण असं म्हणायला लागलो की त्या पोर्टलमध्ये अशी काही सोय नाही, then again you will be required to fight it out. Without that nothing can happen. Unless the attempt is made, nothing can happen.
थँक्यू सर. राजन अटरावलकर साहेबांनी हात रेज केला होता. त्यांना काही प्रश्न विचारायचा असेल तर त्यांना अनम्यूट केलेलं आहे.
लेक्चर मध्ये बोला. लेक्चर मध्ये करत होतो.
हॅलो
हॅलो.
हॅलो. हां हां 16(2) बद्दल राईट. हां अत्राळकर साहेब, त्यांचं म्हणणं असं आहे की 16(2) स्टार्ट्स विथ नॉन ऑब्स्टन्स क्लॉज नॉट विथस्टँडिंग एनिथिंग कंटेन्ड इन दिस सेक्शन. So it has overriding effect on 16(4) also. What is your opinion? In that way, if I mistake not, even 16(4) also starts with notwithstanding anything contained anywhere. So every provision is there at its own place. That's why जे त्या सेक्शन मध्ये प्रोव्हाइड केलेलं आहे ते तसंच राहणार. त्यामुळे 16(2) च्या ज्या प्रोव्हिजन्स आहेत, आता उदाहरणार्थ 16(2)(c), if tax is not paid by the supplier, that will remain as it is. कारण नॉन ऑब्स्टन्स क्लॉज जो येतो तो कसा येतो की इतर ठिकाणी काही म्हटलं असलं तरी या प्रोव्हिजन मध्ये आम्हाला असं म्हणायचं आहे. त्यामुळे 16(2) will hold as good in spite of something else has been said in any other sections.
थँक्यू सर. विपिन गुप्ताजी आजमगढ़ प्रश्न आहे, whether ITC which has been left to declare can be claimed in annual return GSTR 9, and if yes, in which column?
As far as to show the extra ITC in the annual return, according to me, as I am not in day-to-day compliance work, but as I know, subject to correction by anybody from your side, there is no space to show extra ITC, means which was not claimed earlier while filing annual return. So if it is not claimed earlier in annual return, it cannot be shown. This is number one. And assuming by way of a remark, if you show somewhere the additional ITC which was not claimed, but there is no provision, there is no mechanism to transfer this ITC which is additionally claimed by way of annual return to your ITC ledger. That's why you have chosen a wrong bus for this travel. Once it is not claimed in 3B, it is gone forever. It cannot be claimed unless by taking the help of Delhi High Court judgment, such person, when he noticed while filing annual return that this much ITC was forgotten to be claimed, then he should write to the proper officer to open the portal with the facility to rectify the respective return in GSTR 3B. And as that facility is not there, as per this, your scheme of the act administration is faulty, and that is why that provision must be made available to the recipient. That only the answer. But straightway, only by showing in the annual return, no one will get it.
Thank you. I hope all the queries have been dealt with, Bapat sir. As regards to balance referencer of 1920, the support declared by GSTPM, I assure from Jalgaon District Tax Practitioners Association, we will discuss the issue in management committee meeting and we'll revert back you soon in the matter. Thank you. Now I request President Dinesh Tamde sir to guide further in the matter.
No, no guidance. The sir has guided enough. So I'm not required to guide further. I think Bapat sir has justified the unjust ITC provisions. So I need not say much about the provisions. I may differ at some of the stands taken by him, but I would, since this is not a subject of mine for the today's session, so I would not confuse you all by saying something on the stated by Bapat Sahib. So the only some of the supplements which I would like to give here with regard to 2 points. One is with regard to provision under section 16(4) with regard to non-payment of consideration to the supplier within 180 days. If you read that provision, in that provision, it is stated that if you fail to make payment, the condition is for failure of making payment. So every non-payment cannot be considered as failure to make payment. So if in contract, if there is a provision, now there may be some ancillary issues into that. Our discussion will prolong if you would keep on discussing on that, but I'm just giving one perspective to that provision, that the words used in that provision is failure to make payment. So if in the contract, if it is stated that if the work is completed during this period, I will make payment of 2 lakh. If it is not completed in that time and further in 1 month, I will make payment of 1,50,000. The 50,000 amount, which difference is not a failure to make payment, is under the terms of contract. So according to me, I don't think that we can argue in that manner if you have the contracts in that manner. So failure to make payment has to be interpreted consciously, taken benefit of that word while claiming ITC. So far as the output tax, adding to the output tax liability, I may differ what sir has said, that since it is not a charging provision, it cannot be added to the because the, as we have seen say various judgments, ITC is a concession given and it can be with condition that has been upheld by various judgments. So that may be the another I would say the ground to argue the matter. So far as ITC under section the ITC which is stated under section 41, the provisional availment. That provisional availment is very important because that provisional availment is connected to section. I do not recollect because I have not studied the subject in depth, but whatever I have studied long back, because I am doing my duty as a president, I have kept everything aside and I am not studying the GST law, and so whenever I have been requested by people to give lecture, I deny. But whatever I recollect, that section 41 is that provisional availment of provisional or provisionally made avail that made available that ITC. The provisional means what? The ITC is confirmed when you will file GSTR 1, and when GSTR 2 is filed, 2A will populate and then you will confirm that, and then GSTR 2 will be filed and that ITC will be auto-faced in GSTR 3. That time that ITC will get confirmed. So ITC even today will be filed 3B. According to my ITC is provisional unless and it is confirmed by way of either the provisions available under the law under section 16, 17, 18, whatever are the provisions. I do not recollect exactly those sections, but the sections, the provisions with regard to filing GSTR 1, 2, 3, those provisions under, by that process your ITC gets confirmed. But the legislature or the government has failed to implement those provisions for making ITC confirmed, which has been observed by the Delhi High Court in Bharti Airtel's judgment, which I have reported in GST review for the month of May. So if you would go through that judgment, you will come to know that in Bharti Airtel, Delhi High Court have specifically observed that the machinery, there's a failure on the part of the government to implement those machineries. So even today, the ITC is a provisional. So whatever Bapat sir said about 36(4), that 20%, I fully agree with that. I think that power has been taken under from section 43, which even today is not in existence. But it is not from, it has not, according to me, it has not come. I'll not differ. Let it be. Uh, but that section 36(4) we can ignore conveniently, because if tomorrow you would not claim something, and till the September month of the subsequent year you can claim, and if you would not claim, and if thereafter it would appear in 2A, you will not be able to claim, you will not forgo. So claim everything. That would be my this thing. It may be not the practicable this thing. Even in my cases, I advise my client to see 2A and claim. But wherever there are the huge amount of ITC and it appears that vendor has paid the tax, we can follow the procedure of obtaining ledger confirmation. We can claim ITC, because ledger confirmation is the way, because the machinery provisions are not made available. This is the something we have brought in by way of ledger confirmation, and we can submit ledger confirmation, and we can ask officer to allow us the ITC on the basis of ledger confirmation, because once the ledger confirmation is given, ITC gets confirmed, which is provisional. So that is what is my view I gave on that, for the mechanism available under the GST law at present. That is what I had wanted to say. But it was really wonderful, and thanks to Bapat Sahib that I always say, Bapat sir, that I am always non-attentive while the lectures are going on. I am never attentive when anyone gives lecture. It is my I would say bad habit, or maybe the disadvantageous point at my part, that I cannot concentrate when somebody is giving lecture. Sometimes what happens, people, when speaker is interpreting some provisions, or he tries to give some material, but sometimes we cannot digest. That is the problem, because that lecture becomes maybe longer or monotonous. But about Bapat sir, it never happens. Whatever he wants to convey, it gets conveyed because of the way he speaks in very simple and lucid manner. So we are very thankful to Bapat sir that I was attentive during his lecture, though I took a nap of 2 minutes in between, but I was still attentive. With this, I really thank Bapat sir, and I really thank Magan Patil Sahib that he gave an opportunity to GSTPM to connect with you all. And I thank Sahibrao Patil and Shirish Sahib for making this possible. And I also thank our team, Praveen Shinde, Vinod Maske, and Mahesh Madhukurkar. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dinesh sir.
Shirish sir, before you
Bola sir,
conclude,
bola. Haan.
before you conclude, I wish to add one more thing. Is that for the benefit of the participants, on the lines as Dinesh Tamde was also adding to it. That thing is, when the CAA bill has been challenged before the Supreme Court, you are aware. At that time, when the petitioners were insisting that it should be heard very much early, because that act is unconstitutional. The important part is to know the observations, initial remarks of the Supreme Court then, that every act passed by the Parliament is always to be taken as constitutional. Otherwise, without that, they would not have passed that act. And therefore, the act may be constitutional, but for the reasons as I said, if it is not in the public interest or rather detrimental to a general class public, then it can be either held as unconstitutional or read down in a particular manner. And that is why, as the subject title is given, in short, do not give up. Just like in CAA, other parties are not giving up. Only good thing to be taken from them is this. when such provisions are there, as was being explained again by Dinesh, is that whenever you think something you can claim tomorrow, for that make the habit or make the attempt today, then only tomorrow we can give get a solution for this. That is only the one I got from that Supreme Court's initial observation, that when we challenge something, it is not only because that was unconstitutional. Yes, thank you.